I've been good. Sorry for the delay.
Oh no worries, man.
So
It worked out perfectly because I just got back, so I just ran up
okay,
here.
perfect.
Yeah,
Nice beard, man.
dude.
Looks good,
Quarantine
man.
beard, man.
Hey, that's why I wear this hat, man. I haven't gotten a
Oh,
haircut in a
dude,
while.
my hair. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, my
I
hair is
actually have
ridiculous.
I have my father-in-law. He gave me a haircut like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Uh,
you're lucky, man.
I had to clean it up a little bit, by the way, but it's kind of going away now, so it's all right.
He
It's all right.
butchered you up.
I mean, he got it started. I finished the,
You had
I
to
finished the
finish it.
mission, but now I'm ready for another round. So we'll see what happens, man.
Good
How
stuff.
have you been?
I've been good, man. I'm tired of being at home.
Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
tired of being at home, man. That's why I
I
think
can't
today is a warmer
stand it.
day. I try to go
Yeah,
out on long days and walk.
it's like supposed to be like 62 degrees here, so it's probably a few degrees warmer by you.
Are you right in the city or?
Yeah, I'm in Lincoln Park.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my wife and I, we actually, she's from Illinois. She's from Chicagoland area. Went to Homewood Flossmoor.
Oh, she
Um,
did? Okay.
yeah, so we actually drove. What was it? I think it was Saturday, maybe. But we just drove. We like, man, let's get out of the house. So we
Dude,
drove
that's
down
what
to
I do.
Chicago, man, and just went down Lakeshore Drive and
Yeah.
visited a friend or two of hers, and like we stood by our car. They stood by their front door, and we just talked. That's all you
Yeah,
can do.
man. It's crazy. Yeah, no, we drove both Saturday and Sunday. I drove around all over the place.
Yeah.
We went up to Evanston by Northwestern by their new facility, and like they weren't enforcing like the beaches and everything up there, so people were like out and about, and like because the Lakeshore is closed down here, which sucks.
Hmm.
Like if that was open, it would make a big difference.
Yeah. But that's the tricky part too, because if it was open, then everyone would be out.
Yeah, no,
Probably be
that's
some
what my
parties
wife
out
said.
there.
She came back from because she used to run to the lake and back home.
Hmm.
Because round trip, if you go all the way down to this restaurant on the beach called Castaways, like round trip, it's exactly like 4.8 or 5 miles. So she used to
Hmm.
run down. It looks like a big tugboat on the beach. She used to run
Yeah.
down there and then run back. And the second day that she did it, she's like, "There's no way that stays open." She's like, "There's literally thousands of people down there."
Some people
So,
don't get it, man.
nah, it ruined it for the rest of us. It
Yeah,
sucks.
exactly, man.
Because
Could have
people
had.
were like throwing picnics, doing like yoga workouts,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah,
like on top of each other, like,
yeah.
like 20, 30
I
people.
believe
It's like,
it.
come on.
Yeah, yeah. No chance at all with that, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's all good, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
Well,
man, it's like any social interaction gets me going.
anything, man. I couldn't even sleep last night because I'm like, man, I can't wait for the podcast, man. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I try to keep it super like casual and fun, and
Awesome.
give you a chance to highlight what you do, man, because you do something that's very important. Like, and I think a lot of people, and we'll get into it. A lot of people, they hear recruiter, they're like, oh, like, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
you help all parties. You obviously, you help the athletes because they're able to get their name and information, their contacts, and all that to the colleges. And for the colleges, you help them out because you're on the road for them pretty much.
Yep.
You're a resource. So you're a resource for everyone, and it's cool to see that. And that's different. And we're going to explain that. And I'm obviously going to give you the floor to do so. Different than your other recruiting help.
Yeah. Yeah,
People.
no, for sure. Yep, for
So
sure, man.
so cool, man.
How long have you been doing this?
You know what? I actually did it last year and
Okay.
took some time off, and I didn't use this format. So a lot of the format was a lot about recruiting. Like it was
Yeah.
just like recruiting, like that was the niche. But now I've kind of widened the scope a little bit, and I wanted to I always say like with this podcast we're going to have awesome interviews with sports figures, and that's super broad, but I want to be able to touch on as many different people within the sports world, not
Yeah.
just the athlete, right? Because there's
Yeah.
more than just the athlete, and I feel like
Oh, for sure.
there are a lot of people out there that say, hey, I want to be a professional football player. I want to be a professional
Yeah.
basketball player. But there are way more jobs out there that don't
Oh, no
involve you
question.
actually
The
playing.
majority of them. Yep.
Exactly. So from coaches to athletic trainers to what you do, to marketing individuals. Like I've had a broad scope, and I'm going to add some more people that have like some unique roles in sports. So I think it's pretty cool.
Well, that's perfect because you got all those connections, and you know how it goes when you coach
Yeah.
and do all that. You get to know
Mm-hmm.
everybody in every department, especially in the Ivy League and stuff. You know everybody.
Exactly. You know what? I'm actually trying to get. Her name is Heather Marini. I think is her name. She's the first female D1 coach.
Yeah,
she
was at Dartmouth,
she's
right?
at Brown.
Or was she at Brown? Okay.
Brown hired her for as the first official D1
was
coach.
she at Dartmouth?
I think so. I think she's been around the Ivy Leagues for a little bit. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
have you connected with her?
You know what? I haven't yet. I think I've tried to reach out, but I haven't gotten a response yet. But I'm sure she's busy, and I mean, this is a crazy time for everyone. So I totally understand. But we'll see. Hopefully, cross my fingers, man.
Yeah, wow, that'd be awesome.
It would be. So I'm ready to get into it, man. If you are.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Like I said, just sit back, relax. This is not live. I'll get a chance to edit this
a
bit.
Cool. Are they going to see my ugly mug?
They are going to see you.
Oh, God. Good thing I put clothes on.
I know, man. Luckily, you're not shirtless, man. I haven't had a shirtless guest yet, so.
Well, I put on something else just in case because I had this shirt on, and I was like, I wonder if it's live. I had my
Dude, you should have wore that one, Brooklyn's Finest, yeah. Do I have to remind us? Brooklyn's Finest, man.
It was getting hot with the hoodie.
I know, man. Let it hang out, man.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you can see the shirt. I mean, I can see like the top of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You just sit back and chill. There you go. Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Perfect. I love that wall too, by the way.
My wife paints some weird stuff.
Yep. No, it looks good. It looks good. I know that's the wife, man. I can tell.
Yep. Yeah, definitely not me. This is my office up here, so I'm up in a loft. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell. I can tell by the ceiling, actually.
Yeah, it's all
you're
weird.
right.
Yep.
No, that looks good, man. Nice. All right. Well, let's get into it. We're back again. Coach T here. I am here with a wonderful guest, someone I've been looking forward to speaking with for a while. He's got a great beard, by the way. I wish I could do that.
Thank you.
I'm clean-faced, but I wish I could do the same. You're lucky. We have the one and only Clint Cosgrove. He is the quote-unquote director of Midwest Scouting, all of Midwest for National Preps. National Prep scouts for over 250 teams, college teams, correct?
Yep.
All right, yep. He's a former college coach at Dartmouth, Ivy Leagues, there you go. Minnesota, Big Ten, there you go. Nebraska, Big Ten, there you go.
It was Big 12 at the time. That's how old I am.
That's true. That's true. Yep. A lot of the young folks don't know. It was the Big 12.
Exactly.
Former college receiver himself at Wisconsin, and then went to Arizona State where he finished his college career. And you are based in Chicago, Illinois, correct?
That's right. Right in the city, man. Lincoln Park.
There you go. So elaborate. Talk about yourself, man. You would do a much better job than what I would do.
No, yeah. I talk a lot. I try not to talk about myself too much.
You can talk, man. It's a podcast.
I've been at National Preps when I got out of coaching, a little time in between, and then I ended up with National Preps. I've been here for like 6-7 years. Paid by colleges to scout for them, and we're over. I don't know the exact number because our number constantly grows. I think we might be over like 270 teams now.
I believe it.
My last coaching job was at Dartmouth in the Ivy League, and I did my college football career didn't last long. I had a bunch of shoulder surgeries, and then I got medically DQ'd, so I transferred to Arizona State and finished up there. And
crazy at ASU, huh?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it was a little different than playing football. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Life was a little different, but I knew I was going to get back into football. My dad's a coach, and I plan on getting back into that. So, it was good to get a break from it. Football had been my entire life, and it was nice to kind of be a normal student for a little bit, even though like those first couple of years when I couldn't play anymore, I couldn't even turn on the TV, man. I couldn't even watch a football game.
Dude,
It killed me.
I had the same thing, man. I had a similar thing.
Dude, it was like traumatic, because I guess for most people it never ends the way you want it to. So, and that had been the biggest part. I'd prepared my whole life to play, and all of a sudden that's gone.
Yeah.
So
it's taken away from
you.
me.
Yeah, it is. And then, but I knew I was going to get back into coaching, and I was lucky enough to do that, and blessed with my time as a coach. Loved it. Like I said, my dad's a coach. He's been coaching, I don't know, 30, 40 years. He's at
Kevin Cosgrove, correct?
Yep.
That's
Kevin Cosgrove.
Currently where?
Texas Tech. He was at LSU last year. New Mexico before. Yeah, the LSU, man.
Does he flash the ring on you?
They haven't got. I think he's getting it this week, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But he got to go to the White House and do all that stuff, and
I love it.
So it was fun for me too. They're a client of ours, and I got to go to the national championship, the playoff game, and I went to more football games, college games in person this year than I had in a while. So,
dude, that's lovely. We got to go on a road trip, man.
Hey, let's do it.
We got to do that, man. We got to do another podcast on go to a game site and do like a game day podcast.
Yeah, we'll set up a little tailgate, do a little game day podcast. That'd be good.
That's fun, man.
Yeah.
Good. You got to show everyone your shirt.
Oh, Brooklyn's finest, man.
There you go. You got Jay and Big. Yep.
There we go.
I guarantee I'm going to have some young people on here. They're like, who are those two? Like, who? Is that Lil Yachty? Who is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Lil
exactly.
Uzi?
No, these are the originals, man.
Yep, for sure. Good, man. All right, well, cool, man. Yeah, you obviously have you have a huge background in football and sports in general, stemming from your father to yourself, and from your playing days to your coaching days to what you do now with national preps. And we'll get into everything, of course. But I first want to touch on, you have a bachelor's degree in poli-sci, political science. What's the reason you did not go into politics, my man?
You know what? I can
see you for president.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. More of a behind-the-scenes politician,
there you go.
Probably. So a couple reasons why. First one being, if I wasn't going to be a coach, I wanted to have options. And even though I knew I was going to be a coach, I wanted to have options. You never know what will happen, and obviously now I'm not coaching. My plan was if coaching didn't work out, or if I wasn't going to be a coach, that I would go to law school and either be a lawyer or a lawyer and sports agent. And just with my connections in the football world, and I wanted to be in sports somehow. I thought that would be something that I would like and I would be good at. So that was one reason. The other reason is, political science is really, kind of governing the people or getting people to work together. And, a lot of the leadership principles that you learn about in political science are applicable to football and coaching. So that is the other reason. And, there was just, it's not one of those degrees where you're super, you have to be only this one job, or, it leaves things open. And, you can go on to grad school, you can go on to law school. Political science itself, there's not too many jobs just for that. But for what I was looking to do and as a way to keep my options open, it was a perfect fit for me. And I still, I don't love politicians necessarily, but I'm very interested in politics and just, how they work and how they affect society.
Do you watch The Circus?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what it is? My wife watches it. I'm pretty sure it's on HBO. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But it's called, quote unquote, The Circus. And it's essentially a behind the scenes look at politics, politicians,
Okay.
politics, the conventions, how they ran, like how the news circulates, everything. Like, it's good, man. And it
I'll
stays
have to check
pretty
that out.
neutral. Stays pretty neutral.
Yeah.
So it's
That's right up my alley. Yeah. No, I would.
you got to check
I
it
think
out. Like, it's,
I'll check it out for sure.
and they have some veterans. They have some people on there. It's like, I mean, these people are legit. Like,
Awesome.
individuals that have ran campaigns, legit campaigns. Individuals that have been in politics for decades. So you should check it out. The Circus.
Yeah, that's perfect. I will check that out. I'm gonna write that
Nice.
down. Well, I'll remember that actually.
Yeah. You can write it down. It's all good.
But I
pretty sure it's HBO, man.
Okay, and I love documentaries. That's pretty much like all I watch is.
And it's in a documentary form, but it's there are episodes.
Perfect.
And they have different seasons. So I think, I guarantee they have multiple seasons, and it's good, man. They're probably about an hour and a half per episode. So you get a lot of good content.
Perfect. I'll check it out.
There you go.
Sure.
Maybe they can sponsor this show one day.
Yeah. Putting in a plug.
All right. So you talked about national preps. We talked about it. And just tell everyone about your role with national preps.
So what I do, obviously I'm the director of Midwest Scouting for them. So my job is to be basically the eyes on the road for these college football teams. With NCAA regulations, they're very limited in the amount of time that they can be on the road. And so what we do is I'm basically a graduate assistant for about 270 teams.
I know the life.
I'm doing the work that they can't do. I'm going on the road. I'm gathering that information. I'm identifying players. I'm evaluating, and basically getting that information over to the coaches so they can use it to then decide who they're going to recruit. We have a database with thousands of kids in it, and each kid has a profile. So a lot of kids won't even know that they're in our database. I might have seen them at a practice, a game, a combine. Their coach will get me their information a lot of the time. Sometimes I have to reach out to the kids, but basically gather their cell phone, email, GPA, transcripts, film, do an evaluation. And then all the information that we put together then gets downloaded into the internal database of these college football teams that their coaches use then to identify who they're going to see on the road, who they're going to be calling during the spring eval period, who they're inviting to camp. And, so that's one side of what we do: compile the database, rate the kids, and then get them over to the kids through an underclassmen report. Another way that we disseminate information to the college coaches is if I'm at a practice, game, or I visit the high school. Basically, we're doing spring recruiting year round. What the coaches are limited to doing about for a month. So we've seen these kids in person. So I'll go and evaluate a kid in person. I'll try to share if I really like a kid or they're under the radar or unknown. Then I'll put together what we call prospect email alerts on them. And I'll do a write-up, something that, coach might not know had they not seen him in person. Because the in-person evaluation is so important. And as kids are finding out right now, with no spring recruiting, no camps, most likely, still a possibility. These coaches are kind of in no man's land. So,
I need you more than ever, man.
Yeah,
you guys doubled, man.
I wish, man.
Up the price.
Yeah, exactly. The problem we're going to run into is if budgets get frozen, if they don't have, ball and stuff like that. So, but with the in-person evaluation being so important, I'll take a picture next to the kids so that the coaches can see their legit size. One of the biggest problems that coaches are running into right now is they can't find the legit height and weight on a prospect. A lot of the times before they might like a kid on film, they might like everything about them athletically. They're like, I just need to see him in person to verify the size.
You need to verify it. Yep. And you're right, man. There's so many different ways we can go with this, but I want you to talk about the importance, or not really the importance, but for college coaches, how that verifying system or their way of verifying, like how important that is to those coaches, because you hit on it. A kid could say he's 6'2", and then you look at something else that it may show that he's 5'11". So it's like, which one's right? And
Exactly.
I've always been told as a coach, whatever height they tell you, the kid tells you, take an inch or two off.
Yep.
Right? Because everyone's like, shoot, I feel like I'm
That's the
6'7", and that's just not what
Yep.
it is. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
so talk about that in terms of how you guys go about reassuring the coaches that, hey, this information that we are giving you is verified.
Yep. So really, there's a couple of ways. One of them being, if I have a picture next to a kid, I'll get a text from a coach or an email. Clint, I want to offer this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a legit 6'2"?
Yeah.
If I have a picture next to it, coaches know how tall I am. They've been around me. I'll just shoot that over. I'd be like, he looks 6'2" to me if I don't have a verified measurable. Right? They will look at that picture. They'll be like, well, you know, if he's not 6'2", he's right around there. We're going to offer him. Or that kid is not 6'2".
And that's how close it can be sometimes with some players.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think some recruits and some families in particular, they don't understand exactly, hey, like, you know, your measurables, things that honestly you cannot control, especially your height, you know, that's something that it's going to play a big factor, right? If you have two players that are, you know, same skill and one player's, you know, 5'9" and another player is 6'1", you know, a large majority of the coaches are going to go with the 6'1" kid, right or wrong.
Yeah, and a lot of kids, it's hard for parents and kids to understand that if they haven't been in those recruiting meetings or those scheme meetings. Like, you know, on defense, if you play a certain scheme, you know, you have a profile that you're recruiting to. And those measurables make a difference in what you're doing or how you play.
Preach.
So they
Preach.
stick to that profile. And if you're not in that profile that they've recruited, like some schools will put a cutoff. They're not taking a corner under this size, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even the schools that don't put that hard cutoff, a lot of them will say, you know what, here's our profile. If they don't fit that exact profile, they must be an anomaly in their skill set.
Exactly.
You must be heads and tails better than other people they're recruiting if you do not have the measurables or what they're looking for in a certain position. And that's why the verified measurables are so important. So whether it be me
NFL does it
to a kid. Yeah, exactly.
It's what the combine is. It's the same thing.
Exactly. I mean, you look at Aaron Donald, probably the best player in the NFL. You know, he's an anomaly in his skill set, but he didn't go first in the draft, you know, or at least I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. He didn't. Probably should have, but you're right to that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one way I do it, through the pictures. And then also we have camps that we partner with, or we throw ourselves, and they will you know, height, weight, measure them there, measure length, get pictures and all that stuff. Yeah. So if I do have a verified measurable, that will go in the notes on the kid. If I don't, you know, I'll put that in there usually as well. Like you said, if I'm watching Huddle and a kid doesn't look 6'6", I'm taking at least an inch off of what's on there if I haven't seen them in person. Good thing is I see a lot of the top kids in person.
Obviously, you're big into recruiting. That's your job. That's what you love to do. And was able to check out your YouTube channel, which is your college recruiting, football recruiting headquarters. So talk about that.
So the reason I started it is, you know, one of the big things when I first started doing this, you know, it's people hadn't really done it in the Midwest, you know, like scouts, boots on the ground, you know, they had done it on the East Coast in Florida, California. And so when they hired me to do in the Midwest, you know, I had to kind of like brand myself in national press because it was a new idea to people.
Yeah.
The good thing I had going for me is I had recruited the area. People were familiar with my dad. And so I had a lot of connections, you know, through those two means. But, you know, for people who weren't familiar to a scout, they're thinking that, you know, it's somebody who they're trying to get money from the kids to do their recruiting and stuff like that. So, you know, when I first started this, it was more, you know, getting people to understand that we're paid by the colleges. It's free for the kids. You know,
yes.
I can't help you if you can't play, but if you can, I can, which is fun. I don't have to ask for anything of the kids. A lot of times I get a kid.
The way it should be.
Yeah. And the kid won't even know it. But the reason I bring that up is, you know, at first, you know, I was explaining my mission to people, and after a while, once people understand what you do and who you are, then every parent and every kid wants you to get on the phone with them and go over all this recruiting stuff. And I used to try to do it at first, but it was getting to the point, because I want to help kids. I sincerely do.
I know you do.
But it gets to the point where I was doing that and I couldn't do my job. I'm sitting there, parent would be like, give me 15 minutes on the phone, please. And I'd be like, okay. And then we're on the phone for an hour and a half. And
15 times
exactly.
500.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was spending more time doing that than I could. And I wanted to find a way to help kids as much as possible. So I started doing the YouTube channel, and it actually, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to look it up. I went and spent my own money on like a DSLR camera and everything like that. And it's gone really well, and I love doing it. I need to do it more. And the reason I don't is I hate the video editing part of it.
That is,
and putting it all
trust me,
together.
I know.
It takes so much time. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to make them more than I have in the past. I only have a handful of videos right now, but I made them at like pertinent times. So like during the coronavirus, I made one about getting recruited during COVID.
Yep.
Last year's spring recruiting, spring eval period, I made one explaining what that is. And so it shares a lot of stuff that you wouldn't know if you haven't been through the process, that maybe you might not know if you have been through the process. Even college coaches don't know some of this stuff.
Because everything changes. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And
things
so
change.
I try to explain things from a kind of a ground up level and how to help yourself in recruiting, and just give you tips so you can understand what's actually happening during the recruiting process. So I'm going to continue to make those videos. They get my biggest video had like 3,000 views, which was shocking to me. So I think if I continue to grow that, we'll see where it goes. I like doing it. I like doing media type stuff, and so I think it could be.
Gotta find you an intern, man.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Cut that film up, man. Say, hey, man, get this done for me, please.
if any interns are watching or listening, hit me up.
Hey, you're around a couple. You know some college kids, man. I'm sure, because you're on college campuses. So you need to find one of those young college kids that are eager and ready to make a name for themselves.
For sure, I probably should.
No, it's valuable. It's needed. Clearly, a lot of people, just in general with recruiting, have questions, right? And that's never going to stop. That's always going to be the case. And you're always going to have players and families that want to play college sports, especially college football. It's the biggest sport out there. So in terms of educating them, that's a lot of the reason why, you do what you do, why I have this show. It's to educate people as much as possible. And with recruiting, you have to know. Because I always say this with recruiting, it's one of those rare things in life where it's your first time you go through it, and it's the last time you go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to make sure that you do it right the first time, because you only get one time. So I love when parents are eager, to find out more information, and guys like you can help because you've been through it. You know the ropes. You know how to get recruited during the year. You know every question. You have every answer. So guys like you are a huge resource for families out there that need it.
Thank you. I try to be. It's the one thing in life that I feel like I'm close to the expert level in. So
there you go. Yeah. That and growing the beard.
yeah, man. Who knew?
Cool, man. So, this is something that I want to know personally. How many days a year in a typical year are you on the road for national preps?
It varies so much because right now I'm not on the road. I wish I was. The other day I was looking at like memories and stuff, and like I was at the opening or stuff like that. I'm usually at these camps. It's hard to say. During football season, I would say 3 or 4 days. I am either at schools, at practices, in hotels of the week. And then the other days, I'm basically doing the data input and writing up evaluations of the information that I gathered. So I'm based in Chicago, Illinois, because Illinois signs the most NLIs in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And so I want to be basically close to the source. I want to be able to see these kids in person. So I spend most of my time in Chicago. I also spend time, so the states I cover are Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Now, I don't do that all alone. I have people to help me with some stuff. But I oversee it all. At the end of the day, I'm the one in charge of it. And if it isn't good, I'm the one who gets blamed. So, so I spend time, I would say the second most time that I spend is in St. Louis. Because that is, when I first started this, they were kind of in a lull as far as NLIs, but it's back in the 90s, they were huge. And it's really like that again. There's a lot of elite players in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a few weeks there a year. I'll spend a week or two up in Detroit, maybe a few days in Indianapolis, and then Wisconsin, Minnesota, kind of as opportunities come, I'll make it up there. If there's a kid I need to see, or if I'm speaking at a high school as a favor to a friend, or if my wife's working in Minnesota, for instance. Right when this coronavirus stuff happened, she was up in Minnesota. I was like, I'm going to go and hit schools in Minnesota for a week.
Smart.
I get up there, they got shut down the day before. So, so I like to be on the road as much as possible, but with the amount of space that our area that I cover and the amount of prospects, I have to spend a lot of time after gathering that information, getting it all in there and getting it up to the way I like it. Certain data input you can have other people do, but the write-ups and stuff like that, I want to do personally, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to that sort of thing. So
it's good, man. It's good. You're on the road. You're a busy man.
Yep.
But that's what it takes to get it done.
We had over 100 Marriott nights last year. I know that. So
you probably get a bunch of points.
Oh yeah, a lot of points.
You get a lot of points. Me and my wife,
right? There's a lot of points. That's how I go on vacation in the summer.
There you go, man. Yeah. What a life, huh?
Sometimes.
Right. Do you think you could have done this job or done as good of a job as you do in your role pre-internet? Like, that's what I think about, because I'm like, man, it's a lot of what you do, I would imagine, has to do with the computer and social media and, calling coaches and it's obviously much easier, getting those contacts or reaching out to people via the internet. So do you think this could have been something you could do before the internet?
Yeah, I do. I mean, guys like Tom Lemming, he did it, so it is possible. I mean, even like before Huddle, you think about the difference. Like my boss, the guy who started National Preps out east, when it was Playmaker Recruiting Report, they used to, for their underclassmen report, they would have to cut up all the film and put it on DVDs and then send out printed reports and stuff. So it would have been the ability to do it is there. And since, I think the ease of access is nice now. Now with that comes an overload of information that you have to sort through. And, a lot of the stuff people have access to. So you've got a lot of people trying to do it. There's very few people who want to get in the car and go and hit schools and everything like that. So no matter what happens, what analytics are out there, at the end of the day, in-person evaluations from people you trust, and people just don't want to go on the road. A lot of people can't call up a high school coach and be able to just go into the school.
They cannot.
And
a lot of people will cannot.
Exactly. And so that in itself takes years to build up. And that's kind of how we differentiate ourselves from competition. Doing what coaches do year round, doing that spring recruiting. So the ease of access as far as the, being able to watch any film or being able to look up a kid on Twitter and contact them for any information that you don't have, that part would be way harder. But the flip side, I think, is there's information that will get out there that otherwise wouldn't have in the past if somebody like me went and got it. So it could be a double-edged sword. I like the ease of access, but there's a certain point where it's just overload and you're sorting through things.
I mean, you probably get close to 1,000 DMs from players every day with highlight links.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up between that and the tags, and I try to, but that could be a job in itself as well.
Yep.
Emails, somehow kids getting my phone number and DMs. It's tough. Yeah, I try to do as much as I can, but at the end of the day, as much as I want to help as many kids as possible, and I will, and I can help more by actually doing my job, spending the time working for the colleges and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's really what I try to focus on.
Yeah, and I don't want this point to be missed that, again, with you and National Preps, the players, the recruits, the families, they do not pay you guys. You guys are paid by the colleges themselves, because the colleges get this contact and this player information from you guys. So you are the true, in a good way, the true middleman of recruiting, because you're obviously getting the information about the players from the coaches or the players themselves on the high school level, and then you are giving that information to the colleges that you work for, essentially. Again, you don't work for the players necessarily.
Yep.
You are paid by the colleges, not the players.
Exactly. We like to see ourselves as an extension of their personnel department.
Mm-hmm.
For those that do have full out, 10, 15 person personnel departments, like your big schools, we're not, more of like eyes on the road when they can't be, for schools that are maybe lower budget and can't afford a player personnel, we are their recruiting department. So,
yep.
It varies within, levels and budgets of colleges. But yeah, at the end of the day, we are working for the colleges. And because of that, it puts us in a unique position to help players and families at no cost to them. I'll never ask anything from them.
Yeah. Good, man. And, you mentioned it. Your father is a famous coach, is a national title winning coach. And he's been coaching for over 3 decades now. And, anyone in this coaching world, they know the name Cosgrove. So, when you mentioned it, when you got out of college football, out of coaching college football, did your father completely understand why you were leaving? Was that a hard conversation to have?
No, it was a hard conversation to have with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're happy. Most coaching families, moms and dads, if you grew up with a dad who coaches, they will spend most of your life trying to talk you out of it. And then
you make a good point.
Yeah. And then there's a certain point where my dad knew, like, it's different between me and my brother. Like, there was no question that I was going to do this. So it goes from, are you sure you want to do this, to all of a sudden you're getting into the nitty gritty of it. And so my mom was always very supportive too, but there's a lot of things going on when I decided to go out of it. My brother had been diagnosed with cancer. I'm sitting there preparing for a football game, and I couldn't go and see him. I watched my dad kind of, after all the success he had, he was bouncing around a little. And, so once again, just trying to prepare myself for the future, my goal was really just to get out, get some business world experience, and then get back into coaching. And then if anything ever happened where I didn't have that choice, where I could just get out of it, that I had a backup plan and I wasn't making my family or wife or anything suffer because of it. So that was really the original goal of it. And then each year out of it, it's like, oh, maybe I'll get back next year. Maybe I'll get back next year. And the longer I was out, quality of life and still being able to be around football. So my parents are very supportive. My dad still does every now and then, if opportunities pop up, which they do sometimes, you sure you don't want to do that?
I'm sure they do.
Because he just feels that I could, do a lot in the coaching profession still. And he's pretty confident in probably more than I am in my skill set as far as scheming and coaching and understanding recruiting. So we still have that conversation, and he still, puts it into my head from time to time, especially if opportunities come up for me that he hears about or that I tell him about. So I don't know if that will ever totally go away, but my family is amazing. They've always been very supportive in what I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's say you were coaching right now. What do you think you'll be? You think you'll be a head coach right now? Yeah. Where? What position?
My goal was always to be a head coach. That was really what I wanted to do. I would be on the defensive side of the ball. I know that.
Okay. You're on the dark side. Whoa, I may have to cut this. I may have to cut this podcast, man. I'm on the offensive side of the ball.
I know you offensive guys, man, drive me nuts. Just my dad was defense. I've always just liked the mentality of defense, and that's what I've always done. So I would have liked to have been a head coach, but who knows? I might have been fired 5 times by now.
Yeah, right. If you could be a head, well, you would have got the your pay too, man.
Yeah.
You can fire me.
Well, see, if I was making any money.
Right, that's true too. Um, Let me ask you about this. I think this is something that I've actually had this question posed to me a couple times. Um, and in terms of 7-on-7 football, right? Because I know you mentioned you go to a lot of camps, a lot of combines. You're inundated with football. Um, how do you see 7-on-7 football growing? Let's say in the next 10 years.
I think there's, a couple routes it can go. I think it will continue to grow just because it's considered a safety part of the game.
Mhm.
Even though I don't know if you look at statistics, probably injuries are pretty similar. I don't know about concussions. They have them start wearing the helmets now, the 7-on-7 helmets
Soft
and stuff like
shells.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think it will continue to grow from that perspective. The perspective that it won't is, the NCAA is, they always try to make it, they're worried they'll become the next AAU. And I don't think it will, because you can never totally replicate the football game through 7-on-7.
Right.
My experience with 7-on-7, I know there's a lot of people who love it, a lot of people who hate it. It's been great for me personally,
I agree.
because it is another time for me to evaluate a kid in person, to do an athletic evaluation, a physical evaluation in person that I might have otherwise not had. And so I love it for me personally. I can get pictures with the kids. I can talk to them. I can watch them in a football setting, so that's huge. The other thing is it brings, all these big tournaments are in Chicago. It brings a lot of kids that I used to have to travel to go and see. It will bring them to me. Yep. And then the other thing is a lot of top kids going against other top kids that they otherwise wouldn't. So the level of competition is you're not just out there going through the motions. These are high level kids, and they're getting good coaching. And there's some great groups that really do a great job of not trying, to push these kids or claim them or anything like that, but really developing them as players, as competitors. And so for me, I love the 7-on-7. I understand people's perspective or calling it underwear Olympics and everything like that. But I think anytime you get an opportunity to compete, to play the game,
Exactly.
to work on your skill set, and as long as it's not taking away from what your high school is doing,
Mm-hmm.
Or from your lifting or what, take care of that stuff, obviously first. As long as it's not taken away from that, I think 7-on-7 is a great thing, and I think it will continue to grow.
And, I'm big on it as well, especially with, during the off season, I do a lot of off season training for players and kids and just programs in general. And, it's good to have that other piece of it where these kids are able to compete, because football is very unique in terms of, you're not able to play football year round. You can't tackle year round. And with that being said, these players need a way to compete and another way to show their skills. And I think with 7-on-7, you're able to have these players show their skills in a competitive environment. And I mean, you could see a lot. You've been through it. I mean, if a player is fast and shifty and he can catch the ball or he can defend the pass, or if a quarterback, he's making good reads, you can tell when a player is if they're working on their craft and they're good at what they do. And I think it just sharpens their tools. And I think there's a reason why a lot of these young NFL quarterbacks have stepped right in and produced. And a lot of those players have 7-on-7 backgrounds. The same can be said for defensive backs. Because you need reps. Football is a game of reps.
Yep.
And if you're only playing 3 months out of the year, you're missing so many reps that you can never get back.
For sure.
You need those reps, and you need that practice, and you need to sharpen your skills at high speed. Because football, you can't play it by yourself. Basketball or golf was one of those sports where you can get better at it by yourself, but football is unique in terms of you need other players around you or out there with you to actually get better.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you've seen some of these colder weather places kind of catch up, not only to like the South and stuff like that, but kids are, they're getting more opportunities to do football specific things. And, where in the past you could only do that, whether it be like, Texas youth teams feeding into their high school team and practicing year round and spring ball. When you don't have spring ball, any opportunity you can get to hone your skill set, to work on your muscle memory, I think it's great, as long as it's not taking away from what you need to be doing in the classroom and for your high school team. If it's extra, then I think it's good.
Yeah, good, man. I'm glad you're a supporter, man. Let me ask you this: where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Good Lord. I have no clue. Let's hope coronavirus ends.
Yep.
I will probably, if we still have football, I'll probably still be scouting. I'd like to continue to, work on my YouTube channel, maybe start doing a little more media type things. I might write a book on recruiting, and I'm also working on another little project that can help kids day to day in their recruiting. So in 5 years, hopefully either the book or this other thing that I'm working on, will be in play. I will have an established YouTube channel, and really, the majority of my time, that extra stuff I do, it's usually on nights or weekends. Because lately, especially at this job, I've been working pretty long hours because there's nothing else to do, really. So I'd like to continue scouting, and that's going to be my focus, but I'd like to kind of diversify it a little bit as well.
I like it, man, because I truly feel there is a niche, you could say, or a space needed where, recruiting really takes on a 24/7 look, or it takes on this, because you have your rivals, you have your 24/7, you have publications like that. And, obviously they know it's year round and you can get this information, but I think with the new generation of athletes and families, I think there needs to be more, more shows on it, more content, more of an emphasis on, what happens day in and day out, because recruiting never stops. It absolutely never stops. You ask any college coach, 90% of their job is recruiting. That's it. Their job is to get the best players in, because let's be honest, if you have better players, you're going to win more games.
That is correct.
So, I think it's needed in terms of, all right, let's get more information about recruiting. Yes, we're answering questions, doing all that type of thing, but at the same time, like, hey, how can we highlight 7-on-7 tournaments? How can we highlight camps and combines? Like, how can we get, more of insight from the players or from the families, as well as the coaches? Like, there's just a lot more that can be done, I feel, in terms of, giving the overall picture of college recruiting and what all goes into it.
Yeah, there really is no one place that you can go and be like, oh, there's the answer for that. Recruiting's constantly evolving. There's a lot of opinions involved. Some are to, promote their own businesses and stuff like that. And so I just, I'd like to give a non-biased, kind of reference tool for coaches. Yeah. And there's still a lot to learn. There's a lot I have to learn. There's a lot that coaches have to learn, a lot that players have to learn. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Man, look, I'm telling you, man, if you're down, I know you go check out some games. So if you want to go to a local game, I'm telling you, we could set up the microphone and start talking about the game, talk about the campus, and talk a little bit about recruiting.
I'll do it, man. I'm in.
You heard him. I got you on camera.
Yeah, I know. I can only do a few games a year, but I'm definitely down.
Okay, bet. My wife would only let me do a few games a year too, so no worries.
And I'm gonna be at high school games otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have our first child June 19th. So
congrats, man.
Thank you, man. My time is going to be a little limited. So.
Yeah, I would say so. You might not be going to any football games.
No. So let's get into a little bit about you personally.
Okay.
This is really cool, man. I mean, you're giving the people a lot of insight on obviously what you do and your passion for recruiting. But let's talk about you, and let's talk about, just in general, what are some interests you have or some things you're concerned about, or interests that you have currently in your life?
I have a lot of concerns.
Be anything. Be anything. Let's talk about interests. Let's keep it light and fun.
All right. I love the ocean. I love scuba diving, and I love traveling. So I'm like, right now, I watch all these videos. I love like sharks and all that stuff. And so I love traveling. That's, when I'm not working, that's what I want to be doing. So I love the month of, July, where I get to kind of get a break. Like last year we went to Tahiti and went scuba diving there and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So diving with sharks. I've been, to Palau. So like some pretty cool dive places. Went diving in Cancun last year. So I love the ocean. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be an NFL football player and a marine biologist.
Wow, that would have been a great movie.
Yeah, no kidding. So I love the ocean. I love traveling. I love going and seeing different cultures. Like I've been to Asia a bunch.
Wow, okay.
And it's just so much different than the U.S. And I like for me, it's really hard to detach from my job because it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in an environment that's just so different than everything else that you're used to, and around people who football isn't even on their mind.
Yeah, they're like, yeah.
It's the one time I can actually detach. If I go down to Florida to get away, I'm still doing football.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's somebody texting me or emailing me or needing something, or I see the TV or the computer, I'm like, well, I'll just watch a little film. Like it's just in you. So that really allows me to detach. And then being underwater and scuba diving, like I'm a high energy, high anxiety at times.
I can tell, man. I can tell high energy.
Yeah. And so being under the water, that's like my calm place. And it's something that my wife and I both do. So it's
nice.
That's, yeah. And, I've been watching more TV than usual at night. Watch a lot of documentaries, a little Tiger King.
Yeah, there you go. So that takes me to my next question. Give me, or give the audience your one TV recommendation that you're currently watching.
Oh gosh. So I'm not a big TV person. Like usually it's just football, but like recently I've been going deep into the Netflix at night.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I did like Tiger King, but like documentary wise,
I love documentaries, man.
Yeah, for some reason I'm really into like stuff with like jails and stuff, or like criminals, and
mm-hmm.
just I think it goes back to also the our legal process and everything as far as politics. And we've I think there's something called like I Am a Killer on Netflix.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, yep. Where they interview guys who are on death row. And I find it very interesting because it tells their childhood story, and just you can kind of see what leads up to it. Now, some kids had a normal childhood, and then others, like, they didn't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I find that really interesting. There's also something coming up on Amazon soon. I thought it was out yesterday. This is why it's on my mind. I was excited to watch it.
I see.
It's called like The Last Narc or something. It's about a DEA agent that was undercover, I think, and got killed by the cartels.
Oh, wow. I got to check that out.
Yeah, I think it comes out like May 15th. Otherwise, there's very few actual shows I watch. Last night I watched a documentary on, it was, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was.
What was it about?
They were pushing ISIS out of Iraq, and they were embedded with the like their local like premier fighters, kind of like their like Green Berets of Iraq. And
wow.
Yeah, it was so that was interesting. So yeah, I'm really into some weird things outside.
No, it's
of
not
football.
weird. It's good stuff, man. And look, if you're into sports, I can tell you love it just as much as I do. But even if you love it and it's basically your life, you have to get away. And sometimes getting away and going on the other end of the spectrum is the best way to do it.
It is. It is.
Awesome. Good. So let's I have this rapid fire segment.
Okay.
I actually sent you some of the questions. I don't know if you have them in front of you.
Yeah, no, I do.
Hopefully you cannot see them. I didn't mean to send those to you, but
that's fine. You know what? I looked at them yesterday and I don't remember them, and I won't look at them now. So
okay, good. So you have 10 seconds or less to answer each one. We try to keep it fun, try to keep it light.
Okay.
So let's dive into it. First question: on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how weird are you?
I'm probably an 8. I'm pretty weird. I have to keep it buttoned up on camera when I'm out and about, but yeah, no, I'm different, as you can tell by my interest, whether it be swimming with sharks or other things. So
being weird is a good thing.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. Makes you unique.
Yep. What's your favorite genre of music?
Big hip hop, as you can tell by my shirt.
There you go.
Hip hop. You know, I like electronic music too. But I have a wide variety. You know, some classic rock. I love going to concerts. My wife and I go to a lot of concerts.
Dope. Nice. Chicago style pizza or Italian beef?
I'm gonna go Italian beef.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a Giordano's guy? You're not a Lou Malnati's guy?
I got Lou Malnati's like right down the street. I love it, but like even when
it's a little too much for me, man. It's a little too much.
Well, you know, even when I can eat it, I try not to eat it too much. Even when I'm in like weird diets like keto or something, like you can still throw some beef down.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, nice. Netflix or YouTube?
Well, I have a YouTube channel. I'm gonna go Netflix.
Oh, there you go. Okay. A money tree or a fountain of youth?
Ooh, that's hard because for me, money isn't about possessions; it's about freedom. And fountain of youth, you know, getting old sucks. Like I wake up in pain every day. This is hard because fountain of youth, you're gonna outlive all the people you love.
5, 4.
Money tree.
Okay,
you can help more people.
There you go. I like the way you think. What's your favorite sound to hear?
Waves in the ocean.
Nice. Very calming.
Yeah.
Very calming. Travel every day of the year or never leave your home for a year?
I found out, I might have said it would be nice to stay at home for a year. I found out that is not the case. I will take travel every day. I can't get out, like, travel.
Yeah. Live life. Get outside of the four walls.
Exactly.
If you had any superhero power, what would it be?
Whew. To heal.
Nice.
To heal.
Yeah. Man, such a wonderful guy, man.
No, man. I just like the first thing that comes to my mind is cancer. Or people suffering. And I'd like to be able to heal.
I love it, man. I love it. What's something that you are afraid of?
Heights. I'm afraid of heights.
Everyone says heights, man. I'm afraid of heights too. I absolutely am terrified, but I love roller coasters. So go figure.
Yeah, no, I do too. And the weird thing is, like, with fear things, usually I like try to approach them like I'm afraid of sharks, but I like going diving with them. It puts me face to face with them. Like skydiving, even though I'm afraid of heights, like I don't want to face that.
I had a teammate in college who, this is a good story, by the way. He skydove from a plane, and like he has the video of it. I'm like, and like the anticipation before he actually jumps out.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, when he was up there, the individual, like the, I guess the professional skydiver, like gave him a countdown, like 5, 4, and like on 3 they went down.
Him out. Yeah, no, that's what my friends. Yeah, no, my friends skydive, and yeah, I've seen that. And
I could never.
I used to think I wanted to do it, but no, I'd rather go out a different way than that, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Not my cup of tea, but I could see it being a big adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lastly, what is your most precious thing in your life?
Thing. So that can't be like a person, right?
I typically say possession, but possession has a certain connotation. So just in general, what's the most precious thing in your life?
Well, I mean, I would say my wife or family,
You can say
but
that.
something that I acquired, I'm gonna go with.
Okay. I like this.
My dog.
Your dog.
I've
What
got
kind of dog?
It's a little Yorkie named Biscuit.
Oh, Biscuit. So my wife and we have, and I always screw this up because I was never a big dog person, but he's a lap dog. His name is Berkeley. He is a poodle, a Bichon and poodle mix. So a
That's
poodle, I think.
cute. Yeah.
He's black and white. He's like an Oreo, and he's a great dog, man. He's a great dog.
Yeah, no, I love dogs. I used to have a black lab. I was always a big dog person. People are surprised when I have a Yorkie. I had a black lab when I was coaching, and when we first moved to Chicago. But she got old. She died, and my wife, before she died, I promised her if we moved to Chicago, we could get a Yorkie, and so we flew to Seattle to her breeder that her family has always bought from, and got a Yorkie. So and it's become my best friend. So she comes everywhere with me. She'll come on the road recruiting with me sometimes and sit in the car while I go into school. So
a man's best friend. There you go.
You got it, man. Never alone. Never alone.
Well, it was cool doing this, man. Where can people find you? Social media, YouTube, of course, you mentioned, but they want to find out more about you and National Preps. Where can they find you?
On Twitter, follow me. It's Clint_Cosgrove, CLINT, the underscore, and then Cosgrove, COSGROVE. On YouTube, College Football Recruiting HQ. Where else? Those are probably
Facebook,
the easiest place.
Instagram.
I don't really mess with Facebook. I have an Instagram, but my football Instagram I'm not on much. So
I love Twitter, by the way.
You know what? I love it some days, and some days I don't. It's becoming
That's true too. Yeah, love and hate.
Yeah. What was I just gonna say? There was one other place that I was gonna suggest.
TikTok. Snapchat.
Oh no, we got our. You can fill out our recruiting questionnaire if you would like to be included in our database. You may already be in it and not know, but this is also a way for me to get more information that I may not have, like a transcript or a parent number or something. So that is nationalpreps.com, nationalpreps.com/addme, ADVME, and you can fill that out.
I'll put that across the bottom.
Perfect. That is one way to guarantee that you are in our database. I will, even if you are not a very good player, I will evaluate you and give you a rating if you fill that out. So that is a way to guarantee you're in there.
Well, good, man. This was fun. I think audience will definitely be able to see your passion for what you do, the reason for why you do it, and how much of a help you are, even if they don't really know it. And if any players, families out there, especially during this time, you guys are a little concerned about recruiting, make sure that you go on to National Preps, go to the ADME, and put in your information. Even if it's in there, at least you know that for sure that they have your information. So go about it that way. And obviously you can check you out, Clint, on Twitter, YouTube. He has a pretty fun Twitter, I would say, and the YouTube is definitely has some good information there. So I want to thank you again. I appreciate it, and I'm serious, man. We gotta catch up. You're not too far away from me, so I would love to do this again.
This is a blast. It was great seeing you. It was great.
Good, man.
I loved it, man. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, buddy. I'll see you, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. We'll see you later.
For sure. Peace.